Hi, my name is Nicole Galan, and I'm the third-party coordinator here at Fertility Specialist Medical Group. This podcast is going to discuss the intricacies of third-party reproduction and what you need to know before deciding on this form of treatment. Third-party reproduction is any treatment where eggs, sperm, or embryos are donated to a couple or individual by a third party. It can also refer to the use of a gestational carrier or traditional surrogate. This type of treatment is much more involved and complicated because of this involvement of another person. The first thing that we'll talk about is donated sperm. Donor sperm can be used in cases where the male partner doesn't produce sperm, or when a single woman or same-sex female couple is attempting conception. There are two options when it comes to selecting donor sperm: someone known to the individual or couple, or anonymous sperm from a sperm bank. There are advantages and disadvantages to both options that should be considered when making your decision. When selecting a known sperm donor, it is important to realize that there should be no genetic link to the egg source. This is to prevent medical issues associated with consanguination. You should also consider your relationship with the potential donor. Is he involved in your daily life? How will you feel knowing that your child is spending family dinners or holidays with that person? Will he respect your parenting decision and decision to tell or not tell the child about his or her origins? What if there's an argument or disagreement? Will your family be supportive in the same manner? Will his? For many people, however, it is important for their child to have a genetic link to their family, which using a known donor can provide. It also allows the parents to know the donor, his personality, his family, and his medical history, which can offer great peace of mind. The child can also get to know his genetic parent later in life if he or she is interested. Anonymous sperm is purchased through a licensed and FDA-regulated commercial sperm bank. Banks will provide a catalog of donors, which you may or may not have to pay to look at, that you can sort through based on your desired criteria. Some ethnicities or characteristics may be more difficult to find than others. Consider what factors are most important to you and your partner. Is a close physical resemblance most important? Ethnicity or religion the same as your own? Similar blood type? When using anonymous donor sperm, it is important to know that your child may not have the option of knowing or meeting their genetic parent when they are of age. There are banks, however, that offer the option of a willing-to-be-known donor. This is exactly what it sounds like: a donor who would consider meeting that child that resulted from his donation when he or she reaches a certain age. The FDA regulates sperm and other tissue donation, so whether you choose someone you know as your donor or an anonymous donor, the infectious disease screening is the same. The donor will need to undergo a physical exam, fill out an eligibility questionnaire to look for evidence of high-risk behaviors, and have a battery of blood tests to look for serious infection. If you are looking at anonymous donors, that sperm will be quarantined for 6 months, and then the donor will be retested to make sure he is still infection-free. The quarantine period and retesting has usually been completed before the donor has been added to the bank's catalog. The 6-month quarantine period can be waived in known donor situations. Using an egg donor is a similar process, but in some ways much more complicated, because donating an egg is much more invasive than donating sperm. There are many couples who elect to use a relative of the female partner. Again, there must not be a blood relationship between sperm source and egg source. Many of the same issues with using a known egg donor apply. Will they respect your decision regarding disclosure? Do you feel comfortable that she will be respectful of the boundaries you set as a parent? Benefits of using a known donor are that you maintain that genetic link with your family, and that you have a better idea of the genetic makeup of your child. You also have more control over the process than you would with an anonymous donor. For couples who don't want to use a known donor, which is actually the majority of couples, anonymous egg donation is a great option. We have a pool of donors who have already had some initial screening completed. If you are interested in using a donor, you will be given a password to enter our secure database of donors, where you can go through our candidates from the privacy of your home computer. You have the option of sorting through the donors in a variety of ways, helping you select the best donor for you. Once you've selected a donor, simply tell one of the third-party team members and we can help you get the process started. Of course, if you have questions about any of our donors, just let us know. Most people ask what they should look for in a donor. What's important? Well, that's a question for you and your partner to consider. Some people will only consider proven donors, meaning that they've had a successful pregnancy, either personal or through an egg donation cycle. For other couples, physical resemblance to the female partner is important. For others, it's her ethnicity, religion, or education level. We can help guide you along the way, but ultimately it is you and your partner's decision. Whether you choose a donor you know or an anonymous donor, the screening process for an egg donor is similar to that of its sperm donor. Again, the FDA mandates screening requirements for all tissue donors, so the donor will need her physical exam, infectious disease blood testing within a certain time frame, and to complete an eligibility questionnaire. In addition to the FDA requirements, we have all donors complete a urine toxicology screen, an extensive genetic testing panel and consultation with a genetic counselor, and a full psychological screen with a reproductive psychologist. There is no current need for the 6-month quarantine for donated eggs as there is for donated sperm. Using a gestational carrier or surrogate is also considered to be third-party reproduction. A traditional surrogate is a woman who has a genetic link to the child she is carrying, meaning that she contributed her egg in addition to carrying the pregnancy. A gestational carrier has no genetic link to the embryo she is carrying. It is made up entirely of the genetic material of the intended parents or the egg or sperm donor that they selected. Traditional surrogacy is actually quite rare and not often done anymore, simply because that legal situation can be so tricky. Laws regarding surrogacy or gestational carriers are different state by state. In some states, the contract signed between the carrier and the intended parents will not be honored, meaning that the intended mother will not be listed as the mom on the birth certificate. In other states, using a paid carrier is completely illegal. Before making a decision regarding a carrier, be sure to check with your doctor or a reproductive attorney regarding the laws in your state. If you were using someone that you know, she must have had a successful, complication-free pregnancy of her own before entering into a carrier agreement. She should also be in good health and cleared for another pregnancy. She will undergo medical screening and blood testing as well to make sure that she is a suitable candidate. She will need psychological clearance from a reproductive psychologist before starting her cycle. Finally, both you and she will need to have separate legal representation to draft contracts outlining terms set forth during the pregnancy. For example, is she okay with being pregnant with twins? Is she comfortable with reduction or termination in the event that something is wrong with the pregnancy? Are you? This will help provide both her and you with legal and financial protection. Fees for a gestational carrier cycle using an agency carrier can easily run up to $100,000 or even more. This includes the fee to the surrogate, her medical screening, insurance costs, the fee to the agency, cost of your IVF cycle, and other fees. Due to the extreme financial cost of using an agency carrier, some couples turn to international surrogacy to cut down on costs. I must caution you to do a lot of research before pursuing this option. These centers are not held to as rigorous standards as they are here in the United States, and your carrier may not actually be a good candidate. Some couples have also had difficulty obtaining the necessary paperwork and visas needed to bring their baby home. You'll also need to include travel costs, which can be quite extensive, into your budget.